Also, have Miss Rashida Dawson, who is our Vice President for Financial Stability, sitting next to me.
Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Yeah.
She might have to get a little closer for the radio purposes, but we will the Alice report numbers I watched briefly during the council meeting and this week, and it's Bruce, it doesn't sound good.
Well, Aaron, it's not good. What it says for the city of Shreveport in particular is that now, first of all, let me say the numbers we're using are numbers that were compiled from 2018. The Alice report always lags 2 years. But in 2018, in the city of Shreveport, we had 60% of our population was at the Alice threshold, which means they're hard-working people, but they're falling behind all the way down to the very bottom.
60%. Okay.
It's scary.
Yeah, that is absolutely scary. Rashida, let me ask you that question because that number keeps getting worse. Can you pinpoint what's causing it?
Well, the thing about it right now is that, first of all, wages are being stagnant. And then also you're dealing with a lot of contract work. And then prices are still steadily going up. Especially for those who might be living in inner city neighborhoods, they don't really have a lot of access to the like healthy food. So basically they're paying a whole lot more for prices than they would if they had a grocery store that might have everything they need, like fresh meats and fruits and veggies. But that's what we're really seeing right now.
So it's like you're saying it costs you more because of the effort you have to take just to get to the grocery store to get things that might be affordable on top of everything else.
Right, and that's correct. But also, I think we have to look at the fact that jobs are just not readily available, good paying jobs. I mean, we are in trouble.
Bruce, let me ask you that because, we have a lot of folks that you may be talking to right now that would be very opposed to increasing the minimum wage to a level closer to $15 an hour. It sounds to me like you would be pushing for that, but we're going to need to have a bigger buy-in on that from across the board. How do you feel about that? And maybe $15 is too high, but how do you feel about we need to address that?
Well, I think we need to have the discussion about it, Aaron. I'm not going to say that I'm in favor of that. What I am in favor of is that this economy that we live in, having more jobs that are available. I mean, we're seeing an outflow of jobs. During the pandemic, we got word of Libby Glass. We got word of one of the casinos across the river. You know the numbers. Even little restaurants and bistros, they're going out of business. I look around and I don't see us replacing those jobs very rapidly or even increasing that. And if we don't get more jobs, more industry, more work in this area, I don't think raising the minimum wage to $15 is going to get our population where it needs to get.
So, Dr. Bruce, the jobs that are available, we also hear like the way that things are going, automation is replacing a lot of things that would be in the labor, in the manufacturing, more robots, fewer people. And then even in service, people threaten, they say, well, if you even raise the price for a burger at McDonald's, we're just going to replace that person with a robot. Now, when you add to that, like, what does that leave us when we talk about the jobs? Because we don't have enough of an educated base for the types of creative tech jobs that might be available in other markets. Like, what can we do to offset this when a lot of what you're talking about is service jobs and skilled labor jobs or manufacturing jobs?
Councilwoman Levette, I really concur with what you're saying. The solution, I think, is going to have to get to where we as a city put aside some of these differences that we have about how we're going to solve a solution, get in the same room, and begin to come up with specific solutions that are going to move the needle forward. Now, I know that sounds like a bunch of jargon and gobbledygook, but I mean, you're right. We have transportation issues. We have education issues. We have training issues. And there are some good things being done, but I don't see us focusing on that and moving ahead. I listened to your program 2 days ago when you were describing some of the needs of the police department, and those are absolutely true. And I mean, we've got needs everywhere, but we've got to realize that if we don't solve the problems, we're not going to be in a very good place very quickly.
Let me ask you this, Bruce. The number now at 60% is up from, I believe it was like 52% in the prior report. Is that accurate? That's a huge increase.
So 52% was for Northwest Louisiana. And so now for Northwest Louisiana, it's 55%.
Okay.
So for Shreveport, it's also been an increase, and now we're at 60% of outlets and poverty households.
And Rashida, help me with this. When you the 60% number, these are people that, for the vast majority of them, are gainfully employed. These are not people that are just on public assistance. We need to clarify that, right?
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to the poverty households for Shreveport, that did decrease. But when it came to the Alice households, that number increased rapidly. And so when we think about that number, we're still not making this mean. Now, of course, Bruce and I have different opinions when it comes to raising the minimum wage.
Right.
But because I do believe that you need more wages to be able to keep up with more than just the household survival budget, because most of those individuals do not have health care. So they have to come out of pocket for that. And even for those things, that can be extremely expensive.
Let's talk about that household budget. That household survival budget is at what now in Shreveport?
As far as for Caddo Parish, for the household budget, a person who's a single adult, they have to make at least $12.92. And so that's about a little bit under $26,000. And for a 4-person household, so that's 2 adults and 1 infant and 1 preschooler, those parents combined must make $37.69, or a little bit over $75,000 a year. And we don't really see that too often for families.
There's not very many people in our community who make $75,000 a year.
No.
No, and Aaron, that would be a combined income.
Right, of husband and wife,
yeah.
right.
That's right. In the Alice household, they're working typically minimum 2 jobs between the 2 of them, but generally it ends up being 3 or even 4 jobs.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to drop this bomb on you guys, because we haven't even factored in what's going to happen to this Alice number when the COVID numbers are factored in. Are you guys really, really scared of what you could see?
Yeah.
Yes.
And are we talking about a devastation in our community?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Who needs to hear this and start doing something now?
Let me take them off the hook
our
for that. We've had 4 years of getting these reports as elected officials that I'm aware of. I've listened to them even back at the library. We need to actually hear the bell they've been ringing for a long time.
But the bell is now a siren today, Bruce, would you say?
Yes.
Is anyone listening to you?
There are some people. One is sitting across from you. She has listened and digested the report and knows. We've gotten some people on the Caddo Commission who are listening and are paying close attention. So there are some people that are paying attention, and we do see some good things happening. For instance, we entered into a partnership with the city of Shreveport, and during the COVID quarantine established a thing called the Financial Empowerment Center, by which we are providing free financial counseling by certified counselors, free of charge to anybody who makes an appointment. And that means in this climate, calling in and doing a video kind of conference. But so there is some help that has come from municipalities, the city of Shreveport. But like, for instance, Aaron, Rashida said that she and I differ on the $15 an hour minimum wage. Mm-hmm. One of the things I see is I talk to a lot of small businessmen.
Yeah.
And if they are mandated to pay their workers $15 an hour, and by the way, most of them are paying them more than $15 an hour anyway.
Right.
they're still going to need a profit. So how do you make a profit if you have to increase the wages?
Then you raise your prices, and then those people who can't pay for the groceries now have to pay more for the stuff they're getting. I get that. Yeah. It's quite a tangled web, and I pledge whatever I can do to help. I don't know what a little gal sitting in a silly radio station can do to help, but if you need to come in here monthly and ring your bells, we can sure do that.
One thing that we've been looking at is access to banking and cutting back on like the cash checking kind of things and looking more at helping people to be able to be bankable. But beyond that, what I'm hearing is there needs to be a collective vision for problem solving instead of piecemeal reactions to things. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a collective vision.
And I agree with that, because you need more than that. We need more people who are business persons. We need our actual community to come in who are these Alice Pop residents and households. We also need government municipality. And we have to utilize the programs that are working inside of our community instead of reinventing the wheel. Mm-hmm. Because even with our Shreveport Financial Empowerment Center, it's much more than just financial literacy. We literally sit down and help negotiate debt and negotiate on behalf of our clients during their appointment. So now we're being able to see things change. But we have to be able to use what we have, because right now we can't afford to try to keep on reinventing the wheel that's already been put into place.
Aaron, you might remember, you and I go back more than just 10 years. But,
yeah.
Back when we were young and frisky, when we got into a tight bind, it was very tempting for me to look at some place like a quick loan kind of situation and just get a little money to tide me over. Mm-hmm. But people who get into that never get out.
No, it's a cycle,
When you start renting to own, guess what you never do?
You never own.
You never own. Mm-hmm. You're paid in. And so we're looking at some strategies like, what if we could create some kind of fund that when people get into a situation and they need a small loan, that loan could be made not at exorbitant interest, but something that would just help them, and then provide the counseling that goes along with that on how to use it.
Boy, that'd be out of the goodness of somebody's heart. We could do something cool like that, huh?
Well,
maybe we ought to do that.
Sounds good.
Well, if we could all come together and create a fund like that, it could be sustainable.
Absolutely. Dr. Bruce Wilson, Rashida Dawson, you guys are amazing, and soon we'll have you in studio, and because we really need to keep this on the front burner. This is really, really imperative that our whole community starts to work on this, because I hear the sirens going off for both of you. Thank you so much.